Howdy everyone, Podger here with an Age of Magic video, and in today's video we are going to go over the event raids coming to the game, specifically the Fire Gates. There are three types: Fire Gates, Gates of Doom, and Celestial Gates. These event raids will require specific heroes. Fire Gates being dark heroes only, that's the first one we're introduced to. Then the other two require dark heroes only, and then the third one is mixed heroes. So you have to have specific heroes leveled up enough to complete these raids. Now, for veteran players, Fire Gates will sound familiar because it was what was used in the Lunar Festivals. However, the Fire Gates being brought to us now are a completely different design. They're different boss nodes and different requirement of heroes, and they're a lot harder. So if you are thinking of the old Fire Gates, scrap that. That is not the case. These event raids are on rotation as well, so they're going to finally be a constant thing in the game. So the Fire Gates coming out is going to last 2 weeks, then it's going to go on a week break. Then the next event raid will come out, same deal, 2 weeks, week break. Third raid comes out, 2 weeks, week break, then we're back to Fire Gates. So that is the most positive thing to come out of this, is we're finally going to have the constant raid instead of waiting years not knowing what's going on. So we'll focus on the Fire Gates in this video. I've detailed maps for everyone. If you're interested in these maps, my Discord server is in the link below. Join it. Use the maps however you want to help your clan prepare for the raid. So we'll bring up the very first one for you guys now. We have the Fire Gates 1. This requires 9,000 portal stones to enter. This is for your beginner low-level players in the game. I think it takes a maximum 16 players. So you only need 10, I think, to fully complete it, but 16 will obviously make it a lot easier because you'll have people backing up other people. So as you can see, there are 4 points of entry down the bottom here. The arrows are indicating the way the raid map works. So if you get to this point, you'll be able to go this way, or up. If you get to this point here, you cannot go this way. I know that in the past, people have been confused about paths, and it has mucked up some guilds, but hopefully I've got this all right. I've spent hours on this yesterday trying to map these out perfectly. I hope I got it right. So I've color-coded things as well. So that is determining the node power and the types of heroes you can use to clear those nodes. I'm colorblind, so I'm probably going to name a lot of colors wrong here, but you guys can see perfectly. So just mix and match. At the bottom here, though, we have this brownish color. These nodes are at power 375, and they require kobolds, demons, and changelings to beat. So you've got those heroes, you can use them to clear these nodes. And then when you get up to the boss nodes, Ambra and Schnee, they come in at 826 power and require the same heroes to beat those nodes. Also, though, you're moving into the middle section of the raid, which increases in power. So now you have power nodes at 413. These nodes require kobolds, demons, and changelings as well. Remember, this is the beginner raid, so there's not going to be a vast difference in heroes being able to be used. Moving up, we have the bosses, Tahit and Arik and Axe Thrower. They are 1210 power. They're going to require different heroes, kobolds, demons, and groups of villains. And that's the same with this light color up the top. These nodes are at 605 power, require the same heroes. And at the very top, you've got Gatekeeper, the final boss, at 1814 power, and he requires kobolds, demons, and groups of villains. So not a horrible selection of heroes to use for new players. These are heroes that are quite easily obtained at the beginning of the game. They're heroes you collect for your Rock and Succubus event. You get the only changeling in the game for free, Sharazar. So that's another free one, and I forget off the top of my head what groups of villains are. But overall, you should be okay using this. So obviously your most important characters are going to be the Zart. Healing, that's going to be really important. I would probably be using mainly a demon team, to be honest, to clear most of this. And I think that's going to get you the furthest. But you're a new player, use what you've got. Push to the end, get as many resources as you can from this before you move on to the next raid. Next up, we have Fire Gates 2. This requires 13,000 portal stones to enter. And as you can see, there's more points of entry to this map. This map is going to be requiring the 30 players, I believe. And there's 3 maps you need to complete. So 3 of the exact same thing. Split your raid up or your team members however you want. All right, so the difference with this compared to the last map is down the middle for the bottom and middle section, there is a slight difference in heroes from the left and right side. So you need to be aware of that when creating your raid teams. On this side, we have what I'm going to call dark purple. If I'm wrong, forgive me. Okay, dark purple is coming in at 1720 power, requires the Ra Arachne, Kobolds, and Changelings to beat. So Ra Arachne being the new faction they've included. On the right side, left, right, yeah. On the right side, we got this like darkish blue. I really don't know. You guys can see the difference though. And that comes in at 1720 power as well, requiring Ra Arachne, Demons, and Changelings. So the difference being the Kobolds and the Demons. One side requiring Kobolds, the other Demons. Then you have your bosses, Grok and Eraser, which use the same heroes represented by these color nodes at the same side. So the Eraser is matching up with this, being Ra Arachne, Kobolds, and Changelings, and then the same for Grok with the Demon change. So that's your first section. Moving into the second section, we have this, whatever this color is here. That's going to require Dark Elves, Kobolds, and Arrogant Undead, and comes in at 1943 power. On the opposite side, we have Dark Elves, Demons, and Arrogant Undead. So the good thing about these is the Demon and the Kobolds are staying the same the way up. So, you know, if you're putting someone on this side because they've got strong Demons but weak Kobolds, and then have it change up here, you could be, you're going to struggle a little bit. So that theme is staying the same the entire way. Same with the bosses, Arrogant Spear and Wieland. They are going to be beaten by the same heroes used for the same color of the side of the raid they are on. So you can see Wieland, he's on this side. So he is Dark Elves, Kobolds, and Arrogant Undead. And the same for Arrogant Spear with the Demon change. When we get into the final part of the raid, we have a combination. Okay, you're going to use the same heroes all round. All right, there's no split down the middle. So we're coming in with Dark Elves, Barbarians, and Group of Villains. Now, I know you're thinking Barbarians is a light faction. However, it's referring to the dark heroes of that faction. So your Swamp Killer and your Seven Knives. So Seven Knives, very helpful character. One of the strongest universal characters in the game, can be mixed and matched wherever you want to put him. So that's at 2,726. And then you have the final bosses, the Riser and the Swamp Killer at 8,178 power, coming in with Dark Elves, Barbarians, and Group of Villains as well. Now, I don't know what the groups of villains are off the top of my head, but it's just more characters. You're most likely going to be using Dark Elves here, or actually, I'm actually not sure, because Firegates 2 is still medium level gameplay. I don't know how many players have decent Dark Elves at this point. So that will be interesting to see. If you do, you'd be using them. I think that's going to be your safest bet. So that is Firegates 2. And as mentioned, the Discord server below, join it. The maps will be there. Okay, moving into the third raid map. Now, again, I just mentioned it, going to mention it again in case you're skipping to this part. The raid maps are available in my Discord server below, because I know this one's a bit small. It's quite wide. I fit it in the best I could. So this is going to be the Firegates 3 raid, 16,000 portal stones to open. And as you can see, it looks a little bit more intimidating than the last one. It shares the same theme. We're split up the middle. We have a difference in characters for this side and that side. So left and right have a little difference in what heroes you're able to use. So we'll start on the left side here. We have this Yuck Green. I'm going to call it Yuck Green. As you can see, these nodes start with 7,224 power. You can use the Demons, Goblins, and Ra Arachne to beat these nodes. And the same with the Gatekeeper boss node, Demons, Goblins, Ra Arachne. Then on the right side, you have this Dark Green. We have, I'm going to call it Forest Green. Forest Green, same power level, but the Demons, Barbarians, and Ra Arachne. So this side is a little more limited on the heroes you can use, because there's only 2 heroes in Barbarians you can use, whereas Goblins is the whole faction. So just be aware of that. And it's the same for the Gasser boss that you come up against. It is the Demons, Barbarians, and Ra Arachne. Moving up to this light color here. You have a power of 10,116, and you have kobolds, Ra-Arachne, and healers of darkness, which is really good. I'm assuming that's all the healers in the dark side faction. Your Azariel and your Zart are the ones that stick out. Those are the ones you're probably most likely going to be using. I can't think of other good healers on the dark side. I know Dagan is good, but you can't use him because he mostly works with orcs. So yeah, there's that. And then it's the same for the Cathbad node at the top here. 20,320 power, kobolds, Ra-Arachne, healers of darkness. So moving over onto the other side, we have this meadow green. I'm going to call that meadow green. We have the same deal, 10,116 power, Arrogant Undead, Ra-Arachne, and healers of darkness. So the Arrogant Undead are the difference for the kobolds here. And it's the same with the boss nodes, Seven Knives, Arrogant Undead, Ra-Arachne, healers of darkness. So Seven Knives is going to be an interesting boss node. It's going to pack a lot of damage. Then we get to the final run of the raid, which is the combination again. Everything is the same across the board. 18,100 power with demons, druids, and healers of darkness. So that's your Mabe, your Irma, and your Wieland. I think they're all dark heroes. So pretty good selection. And the same with the bosses at the top, Kabuto and Egnor. Coming in at 54,300, demons, druids, healers of darkness. So I think this raid actually gets easier the further you get in, because these heroes are much stronger. Yeah, especially your druids. You're going to make a solid team with those three, Wieland, Irma, but the issue would come with, do you have those heroes? So easier in the sense that they're better heroes, harder in the sense the heroes are harder to get. So remember, these entry points down here are the most important things if you're doing this raid. Please be aware you need to put sufficient amount of players into these two nodes, and they need to fan out as they go. Make sure you're getting everything along the way, and you can see the path you can take. Just remember, if someone misses this and misses this, you cannot clear this node. It is impossible to get to this node unless one person takes that route. So remember that. But that's Fire Gates 3. Hopefully it helps. Okay, moving into the final one, the hardest of them all. This is most likely going to be for your level 80 players with your arcane stars, your big willy attackers. That's what you need for this one, because this is Fire Gates 4. 18,000 portal stones to enter, and there's a fair bit going on. So let's go over it. Remember, if you want this map, join my Discord server below. It is available there. Use it for your clan, set your lanes, do whatever you want. It's here to help you guys prepare for the Fire Gates. So Fire Gates 4, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points of entry. So you are most likely going to need all 10 players, well, all 30 players, 10 per raid, of course, and good luck. Good luck. So you have 8 points of entry. You can have one person go in each one, and if that one person can clear their entire lane, you should have no problems getting to the end. Each one has their own responsibilities, with this player being able to go left. So you have... I feel like if you're going to put in a second person in a lane, or if you're going to have floaters, your floaters are most likely going to get the most benefit from going into these two lanes here, because from these two lanes you can kind of go. So say I'm a floater, I go up this lane. Okay, I realize that lane 1 needs help. I can boost over, go up and boost straight over and help lane 1. Okay, the person themselves has to be responsible for their starting lanes though. Okay, at the very least, if you're a lazy raider, a very lazy raider, and your clan's okay with you being a lazy raider, at the very least, clear your beginner section, okay? Because from that point, people can join in and help you. Don't be a lazy raider though, but if you are, clear the first section of your strip, okay? It's 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes. Do it, help your clan. Okay, let's start with this. We're going to go into this bottom corner here. We have the brown node. Actually, let's start over here because that's the first one. The green nodes. All right, so this is a bit different in the sense that this first section has 3 different groups of heroes players can use. So the green section, we have barbarians, kobolds, and goblins. So that's going to cover your first section with your tiles, boss nodes, requiring the same heroes: barbarians, kobolds, and goblins. In the middle section, there is no boss node for these players to fight. However, they're going to be using dark elves and Arakan undead. These characters, or these players, only have 2 groups of heroes that they can use for these nodes here. Moving on to the left hand side, we have this dark brown color, or this brown color. These nodes come in at 28,500 power. I didn't mention that, but this is going to require high elves, demons, and goblins. So the kobolds and demons being the change as well. Okay, so that's going to cover your first section. When we move into the middle section, you will see that there is no longer 3 different groups required, but there's now 2. So on the left-hand side, we've got this yellow color. That's 30,000 power. You're going to require high elves, healers of darkness, and brawlers. Now, looking at the Sooner, high elves, healers of darkness, brawlers as well. The Tiliana, however, are using the same heroes as well. So Tiliana and Sooner are using the same heroes to beat these nodes as all the other nodes. On the right-hand side, we have this yuck green color. I'm going to call it pastel green. I think I've called it a different green every map, but we have 30,000 power here as well. Barbarians, Dark Elves, and Abyss Slaves. And that's the same for the 2 boss nodes, the Kobolok and the Balthazar. You're going to have to use those same heroes as well. And that's going to be the mixture of heroes for this map. And then you move into the final section of the raid, which again then combines all the heroes used, so you're not having a split between the middles, left and right. So they are going to come in at 50,100 power per node, requiring the Arakan Undead, Demons, and Brawlers. And then you have the Full Metal boss, the Dexa boss, the Roinar boss, and the Mizihuku boss, requiring the exact same heroes. The Full Metal and Dexa coming in at 100,200 power. The Roinar and the Mizihuku coming in at 150,300. So these are going to be the final 2 bosses you have to fight in this raid, requiring semi-useless heroes. So, whoop, didn't mean to do that. So I do not know. I have not physically tested the raid, but I am just assuming off the top of my head that these 2 are going to require a bunch of people just smacking them as hard as they can. Bend them over your knee and just smack them. Okay, that's as best you're going to get. Overall, it's pretty straightforward. The raid isn't too complicated in terms of lane. I think everyone with a bit of common sense can determine what path they need to take without a map. Okay, you're here, you go up, you go left, you go up, you go right. You're here, you go up, you go only one way. You go right, you go up, you go left, and you just do the same thing up to the top. Middle, you're just going straight up. Then you're going right, because that's all you can do. I mean, if this person goes up and then goes right, what are you doing with your life? Unless you've been specifically told to go right, because this side needs some immense amount of help, you're on the left side. Stick to the left side. All right, everything's pretty self-explanatory. I honestly think the 3rd map is the hardest in terms of where players need to go, just because there's so much fanning out players need to do. This, straightforward, you should be fine. Like I said, though, these maps available in the Discord server. Go to the description, join my server, click yes to the rules. People join and don't click yes, and they just sit there. I don't know what they're doing, but click yes to the rules and then ask where the maps are. They will be given to you. Then you can start planning out what players are going in which lane and go from there. This raid is going to be difficult simply because of the restriction of heroes that you are able to use, okay? Demons, kobolds, Arakan Undead, they're not heroes people invest in, so I think that's the aim of it. But that's what you have to deal with. Don't get frustrated. Understand that this is something that's going to take time to get perfect. You should be fine. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I will answer it to the best of my ability. And wherever you are in the world, until next time, please take care of yourself.